Welcome to a new video in my home automation series, and back in 2023 I reviewed a single phase energy meter from Zemismart, which was called the SPM01, and now I have the SPM02. And what I liked about the previous unit as well is this is probably like the smallest energy meter that I was able to find, because it has the same profile as a a DIN rail mountable circuit breaker, and the one the SPM01 was a single phase, so it just literally fit under a single DIN circuit breaker. This is obviously now three phase, so it just three times wider, so it fits under like a three phase meter. But it is very economical in terms of size. It can be easily fitted into like a consumer box. And this is the version which has holes in it, so basically the wires where you want to measure the current basically just pass through the wires, and of course you need to make some electrical connection, but that's how you configure it. And the SPM01 is still in my electrical cabinet. It's been working great. I really love it. So I really wanted to review this product as well. I mean, it's not really going to give us any surprises. If you have seen these energy meters, these Zigbee energy meters, you probably have seen them all. And actually there is quite a nice selection from Zemismart, because you can buy these sort of like, I don't know how to call it, like inline energy meters, current meters. So this is the SPM02, which has three phase, or you can buy the SPM01, which has single phase. But there is also an SDM series, and they just have current clamps. And again, they have a three phase one, which again I've reviewed, and there is also like a single phase one, which has two current clamps. So those have those clamps that you can put onto the cable. So this definitely saves space in your consumer box. The ones which have the current clamps that you can just install separately, that definitely takes up more space, but you can easily clamp it in existing setup. Obviously you don't have to open up the cable, you don't have to shut the power down in order to put the current clamps in. But for this version you have to cut the power, because obviously you need to disconnect the wire and then feed them through these holes that you can see here. But other than that, they measure everything that you would expect, all the different power characteristics, voltage, current. They measure the energy, they measure bi-directional energy, they do it per phase, and the total energy across the three phases as well. So I'm going to quickly show you the wiring and then how this unit looks like. I mean, excuse me for my crude installation, but I thought it's much easier to show everything here than if I try to do it in a jumble of an electrical box. So this is why I created this small contraption here, but I'm going to show you the documentation as well, and we are going to look at how it looks like in the Tuya app, because it's it's primarily marketed for Tuya, but because it's Zigbee, it works with any Zigbee enabled systems. So at the end I'm going to pair it with my Zigbee to MQTT to see how it works in that system. So I mentioned it already for the previous product, the SDM01, that you have basically two options how to install it. You either install after or before the circuit breaker, and that really depends on what you want to measure or how you want to measure it. Because again, if you put it after the circuit breaker, then if you lose connection to the unit, then you would know that the circuit breaker is tripped. But if you install it before, then it will be energized all the time, even if the circuit breaker trips. So it's really up to you. And in terms of installation, I mean, it's not really going to be any different from any three-phase energy meter, whether they have this through-hole design or the current clamps. But you do have like four wires that you need to connect. So you have the neutral wire, which is shown here, and then you have the sense cable for the three phases, which are marked here as X, Y, and Z. And there is a corresponding X, Y, and Z cable, which you need to connect to the phase that you are measuring. And of course, you have to be careful, because you need to match the phase, the sense wire phases with the the actual phases that are listed here. But thankfully everything is nicely documented in this design, so you can see that on the basically the box there, like X, Y, and Z is clearly labeled. And then on the sense wires, which are these four wires, so they are brown, black, and gray, there is also like a small like printing, which actually says that, you know, for example, this is X. So that needs to be connected to the phase which passes through the X hole, and then similarly to the Y and the Z. So it is, you know, it's not that complicated, obviously. And then of course it also needs the neutral connection. So the blue one, which again it says on the label that that's the neutral connection, has to be connected to the neutral. And probably the last to mention that on this box you see a line here which shows the positive, basically the direction. So the current flowing this way is going to be measured as consumption, and the current flowing the other way is going to be measured as generation or returned energy, because it measures bidirectional power. And then besides that, we have a status LED down here, and then I'm trying to not to touch any of the connections. We have a button here that you can reset. And by the way, this is good up to 63 amps per phase. But other than that, it's just you know, a white box, and then 4 cables coming out of it, and then 4 holes where you're going to pass the cable through. As you can see that in this setup, even though this is marketed as a 3-phase current meter, I'm only connecting it to a single phase. So I'm passing the live across these 3 phases. Of course it works like that as well, but it's, you know, it's really designed to be measuring like a 3-phase current or a 3-phase consumer. Again, this is a setup that I use for another energy meter, so I just reuse the cabling. And at the moment I have a single fan connected here to one of the phases, and there is no consumption on the other 2 phases. And just for the sake of completeness for the documentation, there is a light indicator description in the manual as well. So that shows that that single LED that I just showed you a couple of seconds ago, how, you know, what line pattern corresponds to what, you know, different modes, and, you know, what the state of the device is. So normally it is lit continuously, which means that it's connected. And if you set it to pairing mode, it's going to flash at 2 Hertz. And you can see some of the, you know, the technical specification here as well. And by the way, just like with any other energy monitoring devices from Zemismart, there is also Wi-Fi version. But to be honest, I find the Zigbee more versatile. So I always ask for a Zigbee version for review. And so all my devices previously has been Zigbee ones, and this one is Zigbee. So you can see on the box that there is an option for Zigbee or Wi-Fi. So now I'm going to show you how it looks like in the Tuya app. And I'm using the Zemismart M6 hub as a Zigbee hub. And again, adding the device was very easy. I just had to press on this button for like 10 seconds and this LED started flashing, and I just clicked on add sub device here, and this device was found within a couple of seconds. And the screen is, I think it's going to be very similar, because pretty much all the energy management devices or energy measuring devices that we have reviewed in recently, they had the same, you know, screen layout, where on the top you can see all the consumed energy. It says total forward energy. Again, I just set this up, I just set up this unit. There is just only a fan connected to it, so we are not going to see a huge amount of data here, but you can see it's 0.6 kilowatt hours. There is a total reverse energy. Here we are only using it for consumption, so there is never going to be the reverse energy. But again, if you have a solar setup which is feeding back to the grid and it is connected, you know, between your, let's say, the meter and the solar panel, it would be able to measure reverse current or reverse energy as well. On this part of the screen, we have a small statistics. We are going to come back to that. There is an hourly chart here as well next to it. And then we have like 3 cards where you can see all the data for each phase individually. So you see current, active power and voltage, and you can slide across to see the other phase. And you can see here that it also shows like X, Y, and Z. So you can match them with the actual, you know, X, Y, and Z phases here on the setup as well. So yeah, you get the 3 readings for each of the phases. And then on the bottom of the screen, we have a few more stats. So total active power, there is a overall power factor for the 3 phases, and there is a frequency. And there are a couple of places where you can click on the graphs and some of the values on the screen, and also this view records, sorry, not the view records, but the electricity consumption data, which brings up the charts. And here on the charts, you can say switch between the forward and reverse energy, and you can look at the data by either days or month and year. So obviously, if you are doing something daily, you get an hourly breakdown of the consumption. If you do monthly, you get a daily breakdown, and if you do yearly, you get a monthly breakdown of the data. I think we have seen this before, so nothing really changed here. It's a good overview. It's good to look at these records, and it's very easy to to digest information from this screen. Besides that, we have a couple of settings. So we have alarms. So obviously this device can only measure current and all the energy usage characteristics. There is no option here to switch anything off, because there is no built-in contactor or anything like that. So the only thing we can do is we can set up alarms. So obviously we would be able to do the same in automations as well, but these are just alarms that you can set, so it gives you extra notification on the screen. So you can do high power, over current, unbalanced load, so across the three phases if there is an unbalanced load, over voltage and under voltage, and phase loss alarm, so if any of the phases loses power, and negative power alarm. So these are fairly standard functions, nothing really new here. And also we have this screen which existed on the previous one as well, where you can pretty much see all the values that we have seen on the main screen, but you see in a different layout. Well, okay, not exactly the same, because for example, you can see the power factor on each of the phases, whereas on the main screen, there is only just one power factor. So, the data is a little bit more granular here. So in some cases, you might want to look at this screen. And we also have an energy management, and the functionality here is basically just to clear the energy monitoring. So the main kilowatt hours that has been accumulated since the device was basically turned on, you can zero that reading out. So if you want to follow your consumption, let's say on a yearly basis, because you are on a yearly tariff, you can come here and then you can clear the energy in the beginning of the year or whenever you have your annual billing cycle. So then it starts from zero again. And that's pretty much it. And we can go to the automations as well, so we can see how you can create scenes that will be triggered by this device measuring stuff. So for example, we can go into when the device status changes, and then single device, and the energy monitor. And as you can see, pretty much you can almost create a start condition or a trigger condition to pretty much anything that device measures. So you can pretty much do everything that you want here. So for example, if you want to trigger something on excess power, for example, then you can do total active power is more than, or if you have created that as an alarm, you can also create a trigger on the alarm itself. But again, going back to the total list, so you have the energy that you can do, and then you can also create something where when you clear the energy, so something happens as an automation, you can set up on the active energy, the forward energy and the reverse energy, and same with the power, online state, power factor, and all the phase specific values like voltage, current, active power, power factor, and do the same thing for X, Y, and Z, and also for current imbalance. Also keep in mind, if you are doing it for the energy, then the energy is something which keeps adding up. It's always a sum value. So if you set it to, let's say I want to trigger something when the forward energy is greater than 500 kilowatt hours, of course it would go above 500 kilowatt hours, and it will go above that unless you clear the output. So if you just set it up, the automation like that, and most likely it's just going to trigger once, because there is only going to be once when it goes over a certain value, unless you clear the readings. So I think it's quite self-explanatory. And again, as I said, it works just like any other energy meters that we have seen before. So it doesn't really matter whether you like this through-hole version or the current clamp version, the functionality is going to be the same. And with this, we are jumping over to Zigbee to MQTT to quickly see how this works. And I'm doing this live, so I haven't tested this before. So what I'm doing on my phone is I'm just going here just to make sure that we are not going to cause any confusion. I like to remove the device from a system before I start attaching it to another one. And then actually it goes back to pairing, I think, almost immediately. So if I do permit join, and no, it doesn't. So I have to click on this button now for, I don't know, 5-10 seconds. And now it's flashing quickly. And then we get some messages in Zigbee to MQTT almost immediately. And these messages are not read, so it means that the device must be supported. And yeah, so it's Tuya SPM02 version 3. Okay, I didn't know that there are separate versions available. So the picture looks like the ones that we have. And yeah, I mean, it just says it's, you know, Tuya manufactured, but that's fine. And then let's see what's underexposed. So, whoa, yeah, we have everything. So basically we have, you know, voltages, the 3 voltages, the 3 powers, the currents, the energy, and then we have separate energy produced. That's the reverse energy. The simple energy is the forward energy. And we also have power, so we are drawing 11 watts at the moment. The frequency, and then the energy for the 3 phases, and then the reverse energy for the 3 phases separately, and then the 3 power factors. So that's pretty much the entire kitchen sink. And if I go back, let me just show you that the 3-phase version is here, because I'm using this in my Zigbee to MQTT, and it's called the heat pump. So you see, that's the single phase version. It's the SPM01. Yeah. So it's been working like, you know, like a trooper since 2023 here. And actually, I also wanted to show you that that's the heat pump. So that's how it sends the data over. So obviously with this new unit, we are going to see probably like 3 times as much information in a single message. And I realize you don't see that. Okay, so here for the single phase one, this is current energy and energy produced and power and voltage. But for the new one, we are going to see the same thing for A, B, and C for the 3 phases separately. And I was just waiting for one data to come, and we have that data already. So let's see how it looks like. So obviously we have some, you know, global values, like for example, the frequency, but you see current ABC, energy, there is a total for the 3 phases, but you have energy ABC, energy produced ABC, power ABC, power factor ABC, produced energy, update frequency, and then voltage ABC. And I've seen that update frequency. So it looks like that you can configure the update frequency for these devices. And at the moment it is set to 150 seconds. So it will report every 2 minutes. So maybe in your case you want to decrease that. I mean, I'm not really using this information for anything where I would read a very frequent update, but you know, you can set this up, the update frequency here. So that's nice. I don't remember this the same option being given for the other unit, but maybe I just, no, yeah, it has a fixed update frequency. Okay, that's cool. It works under Zigbee to MQTT out of the box without any issues. And the data is really comprehensive. You can just, you know, pretty much go and then do whatever you want with all these basically granular information, where you get, you know, global data for some of the consumption metrics for the 3 phases altogether. But again, you can just drill down if you want to see the 3 phases separately. And I think that pretty much concludes my review of this SPM02 three-phase Zigbee energy meter from Zemismart. As I said, I do really prefer these devices because of the power factor. You can always find this much space in a consumer unit, so it's always easy to install these after the fact, you know, once everything is set up. And yeah, they work great. The Zigbee is supported in basically any systems where obviously Tuya and Zigbee to MQTT, and the data that the device provides is very comprehensive. If you are interested in this device, I'm going to leave purchasing links in the video description. But I think that's all going to be for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you next one.